Hello, everyone. Good to see you all. Right. Okay, so today we are going to continue with more Cetasikas, which are very interesting because those are actually ingredients that we can see in our minds more clearly. We are going into the Akusala part, right? Last time we already see the universal Akusalas, and today we are going to see some more ingredients, which are quite obvious ingredients. Those are the things that we can recognize in ourselves. So it's going to be interesting today. I will first share the screen. So let's recite Namo Tassa together 3 times. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Sama Sambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Sama Sambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Sama Sambuddhassa. All right. Okay. So as we just said, today we are going to look at more Cetasikas, but it's no harm to always do a little bit of recap. So we go through some other ingredients that we have already looked at. So with looking at them many times, then we will gradually remember what they are. So let's go through the universals, just going through by the names and to remember which ones are they. Then we will go through the occasionals and we will go to the unwholesome ones. Okay. So there are altogether 52 Cetasikas. Those universal ones, that means those that accompany all kinds of citas, are the first one, phassa, contact. And we have vedana, mental feeling, sanya, perception. We have cetana, volition. Then we have ekagata, one-pointedness. And then we have jivitindriya, life faculty. And we have manasikara, the ingredient that directs the mind to the object. So remember, these 7 of them are universal, ethically variable universals, meaning that if they associate with other akusala cetasikas, then they will be together in an akusala citta. If they associate with other kusala cetasikas, they will be together in a kusala citta. So they can be associated with all kinds of cittas, kusala, akusala, vipaka, resultant ones, and also kriya, the functional cittas. So these are the basics, and all kinds of cittas must always associate with them. Okay, so those are the universals, and let's see the occasionals, ethically variable ones. So sometimes they are there, sometimes they are not there. So we have vitaka, initial application, vichara, sustained application, and then we have adhimokkha, determination. Then we have viriya, effort. We also have piti, joy or pleasurable interest. And we have chanda, wish to do, right? Okay, so these ones are, again, they are ethically variable. So depending on other ingredients, they can be associated with kusala citta or akusala citta, resultant or functional as well. Okay, now, so we have finished this one last week. So we have a citta that always associate with this 7 universal and 6 occasional, sometimes there, sometimes not. So this is a basic of a citta. Now, to make a citta unwholesome, then we need some unwholesome ingredients, right? So let's see. The unwholesome are also divided into universal and occasionals, and the beautiful ones as well. So last week, we saw the unwholesome mental factors, the universal ones. Last time we saw all the universals and lower group as well. Okay, so just go through to remember what they are. So any kind of akusala cittas, they always associate with 4 universal akusala cetasikas. First one, moha, delusion. Then we always have the pair, ahirika and anotapa, meaning moral shamelessness or, this is spelling mistake, moral shamelessness and moral fearlessness. So that is like not being disgust or not shrinking away from doing evil things, right? The cause of them, remember, one is without respect for oneself and the other without respect for others, right? And then we have restlessness. So these four always accompany all kind of unwholesome cittas. Then we have the lobha group, which are occasionals. Sometimes they are there, sometimes they are not, depending on the situation and the type of citta. And so last week we have go through this already. Lobha, ditthi, and mana. So greed, attachment, wrong view, pride or arrogance. Okay, so today we are going to start with the dosa group. So let's see. In dosa group, we have, of course, dosa, aversion. Then we have isa, envy or jealousy. Then we have macharya, stinginess, and kukucha, remorse, or sometimes translated as worry. Yes, Amar, you have a question?
Yeah, I have one question in regards to universal Cetasika. These are associated with all chittas that I understand, but when they rise, when any chitta rises, the Cetasika also rises together, right? So does that mean like all seven rises together, or it's occasional also?
Now, you're talking about the universals of ethically variable ones, right?
Universal. I'm talking about those seven chittas, Cetasikas, the universal, right?
Universal, ethically variable. Yes. So those seven, the contact, phasa, vedana, sanya, those seven, right? Those seven always arise together with the citta, any kind of citta. They must arise together.
So any kind of any like 121 chittas arises, it has all seven Cetasikas, right?
Yes, it must. It's a basic. So a very, very basic, the simplest, the most simple citta that exists, for example, eye consciousness is one of the very simple consciousness. So there is the citta itself, of course, to the awareness of the object, its function. So it has the citta and plus these seven basic Cetasika. That's the unit of 7 Cetasikas, 7 universal Cetasikas plus citta. So the unit of 8 is the minimum of the most simple citta. Let's
take a look at the jhana chittas, right? So for example, the first jhana chitta, it has only 5 Cetasikas, right? And second jhana chitta associated with only 4 of them, right? So that does not have all 7.
Okay, associate with only the 4, not only, but 4 jhana cetasikas, jhana factors. Those are Cetasikas, no? So what does it mean? So a jhana citta actually associate, because it is a more complicated, more complex citta, it actually associates with a lot of Cetasikas. So first, it must associate with the 7 universal Cetasikas, the ethically variable ones. The phasa, vedana, sanya, all these 7, they must. And then occasionals also they do associate, because let's say the first jhana, vitaka, vichara also there, no? Remember?
Yeah, but there's only ekagrata there, right? There's no...
Ekagrata also is there. Of course, then there are more, because jhana citta is also a kusala citta. So wisdom is also there. Then concentration is also there. There are many, many more Cetasikas that we haven't studied yet. They are also there. But why do we say that they associate with these jhana factors? Because those jhana factors are very well developed. Those Cetasikas are very highly developed in the jhanas, which make them strong enough to become a jhana. So those are like the highlights of the stars of the Cetasikas. Among those Cetasikas, those are the very important ones, which are called jhana factors. But that does not mean that they only associate with those 5, 4, 3, or 2, or like that. But it associates with more. But those are the special ones for jhanas. You understand?
Yeah, thank you.
All right. Okay. You're welcome. Okay, so we haven't get into actually which kind of chitta associate with which with how many and which types of Cetasikas yet, because we are still looking at ingredients, right? We saw the menu, we saw the dishes, what kind of chitta is there. Now we are looking at the ingredients, like what kind of ingredients are available in the kitchen. Then later on, after we finish this section, we are going to actually assemble the dish. So this chitta, like what kind of Cetasikas go into it. Then later on, we will study that one by one. And by that time, those jhana chittas will also be very clear. How many Cetasikas do they associate with? Which ones and why, right? Okay, so now let's continue looking at the ingredients. We are still looking at different Cetasikas. We have 52 of them, but we have finished actually quite a lot. All the universal, ethically variable ones, we have already looked at them. Then we are now looking at today the unwholesome ones. And we finished with the unwholesome universals and the Lobha group. Now we're going to start with the Dosa group. So the first one here we're going to look at is Dosa itself. So everyone ready to go into today's content? Yeah? Okay, so let's go. All right. Dosa, we have actually looked at it before when we were looking at the Dosa Mula Chitta, the aversion-rooted consciousness. Then we have seen that aversion, actually, it has the very big range, right? So it's from the very subtle, just a little bit of aversion, uneasiness, boredom, annoyance, a little bit irritated. From that to the very gross level of anger, hostility, ferocity, rage, and all this, or even hatred, all these are included in aversion, meaning dosa. So when we say dosa, it is not necessarily meaning only hatred and anger or fear, or these very strong feelings, but also those very little aversion or just a little bit, I don't like it. No, like those all are included within the range. Now, dosa is actually quite dangerous. It is one of the most dangerous ingredients that the mind can arise with. But sometimes it is tricky because it arises just very little bit. No, it can arise like a fire. It starts only with a small, it starts very small. So let's say if I put a match and then I show it to you, are you afraid of the fire match? Anybody afraid of it? No? Okay, that's okay, quite okay, right? Okay, so now I light like kind of 10 candles. Anybody afraid of 10 candles inside the house? Not really. That's quite okay still, but it can be a little bit dangerous. We have to keep an eye on those candles, right? Because it can get a little bit bigger, right? Okay, then how about if I like this like campfire inside the house? Well, that doesn't sound like such a good idea, right? And what could happen later on? If we don't take care of the fire, it can grow to an extent which is uncontrollable sometimes, right? So with dosa is in the same way. It starts with a very, very tiny, just a little bit not feeling very good about this, a little aversion, a little boredom. Then if we don't take care of it, it can grow into like, now I'm a little bit irritated. Then one can get angry. And when the whole house is burning, it's kind of difficult to deal with already in that situation, right? Even if you call the fire station, you might need even helicopters and more serious situation, right? So dosa is like this. It starts like very small. It starts really small, but then if we don't take care of it, it can accumulate and it can grow. So that's why we have to be careful, and it is actually dangerous. So this fire and this fire is the same fire, right? So fire is fire. It's just that the size of it is different. Okay, so dosa in no way can lead to happiness. So it is the totally opposite of our inner stability, peace, and contentment. So sometimes when we are here, then we think, it's okay. I'm just a little bit bored, nothing. It's nothing. I'm okay. But then sometimes if we don't take care of it, then it can easily grow and grow and grow, and then it can grow out of control, right? So in the beginning, it's easy to blow this fire out, but if we don't take care of it, when it is here, it's kind of like it's a little bit too late. Yeah. Okay. So dosa is something that we need to take care of, because it's just the very beginning of a stress, and then if we don't take care of it, it can go really bad. Now let's take a look at the 4 devices of dosa, of aversion. No, well, so let's look at the characteristic of dosa. The characteristic, it has the characteristic. Dosa has the characteristic of ferocity. So it's rough, and sometimes it can even become cruel. And it is compared in the text, it is compared to a snake being bitten. So if we hit a snake, then it is going to strike back, right? So dosa is like that. So it is compared also to poison, right? So what is the function of dosa? The function of dosa is to spread or to burn up its own support. Let's see, to spread, what does it mean? How to spread? So since dosa is described or compared to poison, it's like if we put poison into water, it will just spread all over. So in the same way, when there is dosa in the mind, it just contaminates the whole mind very easily. So its function is to spread in this way, in this sense, and to burn up its own support. Here, it means like fire. Dosa burns up the mind and the body, which actually supports it, right? So the dosa arises in the mind, and then the own mind, it burns up the own mind. The mind, the very mind that it is arising there, it burns the mind, and it consumes itself. And then it is also not only just the mind, but also the physical body as well, right? So many times we have heard that people, when people are very angry, sometimes they can even get a stroke, high blood pressure, and all these physical implications comes together with dosa, right? Okay, so it burns what it supports, its own support, just like the fire burns the firewood itself. Okay, so let's see the manifestation. The manifestation is afflicting with suffering. That's easy to understand. When there is dosa, do you remember what kind of mental feeling it associates with? Domanassa, right? So mental unpleasant feeling. So it's always unpleasant. So it's always manifested as a kind of like affliction, a kind of suffering, right? So this is how dosa is manifested. And the proximate cause is a ground for annoyance. So we have actually seen this before. Do you remember the ground of annoyance? Is in the Vibhanga, the second book of the Abhidhamma. So when we think that he has done me harm, he's doing me harm, and he will do me harm, if we think that way, then that's a ground for annoyance to arise. Or when we think that he has done, he is doing, he will do harm to one dear and pleasant to me. So not just only to me, but also to those that I consider dear to me, my family, my friends, those that are pleasant to me. And as well as he has done, he's going to do, and he will do good. Now, this do good to those that are not dear to me or not pleasant to me. So when one thinks these different ways in the past, in the present, and in the future, then this is called a ground for annoyance. And also, there are also unreasonable hatred or unreasonable anger that can arise, like the ones we have seen before, like that's called a groundless anger without a valid reason. Now it's too hot, now it's too cold, and the bus is not coming, and so all this different reasons. Sometimes it actually not a very reasonable reason can cause anger to arise, right? Okay, so now the important thing is we have already seen that if we are not aware of the small aversion that seems harmless, what can happen? They can accumulate, right? So here I want to show you one a meter that Bhante Rahula, he invented this name, enojometro. So if any of you know Spanish, then it's actually, I can't find an English word equivalent to this very nice word actually, but it's like a thermometer, something meter. So enojo means anger. So it's like the anger meter. So in Spanish, it is very nicely like a thermometer. It's like enojometro. So it's like to measure our anger. No, all right. So let's say what happens on a weekday where we have to go to work. We're waking up late. The alarm is not working. It's not sounding. When we wake up, it's already 10. Then we're getting a little bit irritated, right? So from zero, we're going to, 0.5, little bit irritated. Okay, quickly, we change our clothes and then we go out and find out that the tire is flat. Okay, now what to do? Now, then the irritation now grow into 2 already. Then after we kind of fix and change the tire, now a traffic jam. Okay, now the aversion is growing and we arrive to the work. Then the boss is screaming at us because we are late firstly, and then he was not feeling well that day as well. So everything is not going well. So we're getting now already to this level of anger. And then coming back home again, another traffic jam. Okay, then when we arrive home, then we find the kids running around the house and throw the flower pot to the floor. It's actually not a very big deal, but since anger has been accumulating all day, what happens? It's we all know. So explosion, right? So for 1 day and 2 days and every day, so accumulation. If we don't take care of this accumulated dosa, so we can only get burned, right? Okay, so why do we say that? Why do we talk about this enojometro? It's because we need to have awareness, right? And mindfulness. So only with awareness can we know that, wait, we have this enojometro with us. We know that anger is rising. So when it is still here, the fire is still little. So it's still okay. We can still deal with it. We can still take care of it. So it's not so bad. Okay, we should calm down. We know what's going on. Okay, then when it grows a little bit, then if we are aware of it, then we have a chance to bring it down. And if we keep bringing it down, every time it arises, then it will not accumulate or will not get to 10 so easily, right? So in this way, then we have to keep checking with mindfulness, with awareness in our daily life. When we see that there is a little bit of dosa, it's coming, then when we are aware of it, then we take care of it immediately. So this is the advice from my meditation teacher, Sayadaw Tejaniya. So he says, check and to see, make sure that you go back to your zero. Now the question is, do we know well where our zero is? Do we have a clear method to have one or more clear methods to go back to the zero? And when we think, when we think we are calmed down already, Sayadaw Tejaniya said, ask yourself again, ask the mind again, is it really zero? Really, really zero? Or if there is still some dosa there? Can we improve the quality of the zero? And can we maintain it? Can we keep it in zero? Now, will it be useful to keep mindfulness for these situations, right? So these are just some questions that Sayadaw Tejaniya suggests that we can ponder or reflect on for our daily life, which is going to be very helpful. Now, so what we need is, of course, first we need to pay attention to have mindfulness. We need to know that the dosa is already there and it is growing. First, we have to know. Then once we know it, then we can try to balance it. We can breathe. We can try to understand, observe, and be patient with the situation also, no? And actually, the most important thing is we have to watch and observe the situation and to learn from it and to let wisdom grow, because only with wisdom can this dosa can really be eradicated. No, we can say okay, well, I'll keep the mind at the moment, just keep it down, and I just observe anapana, I observe the breath. Okay, it comes down, but it doesn't actually solve the problem yet. No, so we have to actually, through wisdom is the only way, but we have many different ways at the moment to calm the mind. And then we have to keep used all kind of tools, or whatever tools we have, So patience also, it's very important. So like this saying, sometimes we don't always have to act on, we don't always have to do something. So patience is also a form of action sometimes. Right. Okay. So just a little quote from the Dhammapada. The Buddha says, Okay, through diligence, mindfulness, discipline with regard to moral precepts, and control of his senses, let the wise make of himself an island which no flood can overwhelm. So this is from the Dhammapada, verse 25. So let's read it again. With the diligence, mindfulness, and disciplined sila, and the control of the senses, let the wise make of himself an island which no flood can overwhelm. So with mindfulness and diligence, this is important Cetasikas. Today, if we have enough time, we will also maybe go through sati as well, this Cetasika, mindfulness. So with this good ingredients, we guard the mind and we keep our mind safe by keeping ourselves in an island which no flood can overwhelm, right? Okay, so that's about dosa, and dangerous ingredient like the snake that can strike at us at any time. So we have to be aware and keep them at bay. Okay, let's go to the next ingredient in the dosa group. That's isa, envy and jealousy. So let's see what it is. Now, envy or jealousy, isa, is actually the inability to appreciate the success of others, or fail to appreciate the good news, or it can be anything. It can be good news. This person is having a good day, or he's promoted, or anything good. Then one cannot tolerate and cannot stand the good of others. Now here, success, although it says success, it can mean anything, the wealth, the appearance, the beauty, that he has more friends, or anything. It can be anything. So isa has the characteristic of jealousy, or being jealous of other person and other person's success. And its function is to be dissatisfied with the other's success. And it is manifested as aversion towards the other's success. And obviously, the proximate cause is the other person's something good that happened to another person. Also, not being tolerate and not being able to appreciate the success or the happiness of the other. So this is actually the opposite of sympathetic joy, right? Opposite of mudita, right? Okay, so this is the other Cetasika that is in the dosa group. That's easy to understand, and having aversion towards the well-being of others. So that's isa. Then let's go to macerya, stinginess. Okay, let's see. The characteristic of macerya is concealing one's own success, which it has been or can be obtained. So here meaning, now this is the opposite, macerya and isa. Now isa is the success of the other, but now macerya is the concealing of one's own success. So meaning like when one has something, some property or some good thing that the person thinks that, though this is mine and this belongs to me, I do not want to share it with anyone, so I don't want anyone to see it. So its characteristic is to concealing what one have. And its function is not to bear sharing this with others. So it cannot bear sharing this whatever good with the others. The manifestation of this is shrinking away from sharing and as meanness or a sour feeling. So it is manifested in the mind of the person that is having Maccariya or stinginess as a sour feeling, like it's a little bit mean and it's like shrinking away, not wanting to share. Its proximate cause is one's own success, or as we said previously, wealth, beauty, health, anything, any good thing, right? Now, sometimes Maccariya can be misunderstood as like, why is it in the Dosa group? Shouldn't it be in the Lobha group? Because it's like kind of attachment. I am attached to my own thing. I don't want others to have it, right? So the explanation here is actually, it means there is an element in this Maccariya of hatred or ill will or aversion towards what? Towards sharing. So it's not really being only attached to our property, but it's more the side of I consider this mine and I don't want to share. So the aversion towards sharing here is the main point. So therefore, it is actually included in the Dosa group, but not the Lobha group, right? It cannot bear to share whatever the person thinks is mine with other person. So even it can be anything. So like to just take a look at this little kid, like how Dosa is being manifested. This is how the children behave when Dosa is there.
It's for both of you to share. No, it's for both of you to share. Hey,
This is how Dosa
it's for both of you to share.
can be manifested as anger, hatred. Now this is not what I want, not happy about it. So all kind of different manifestations that we can see with Dosa, right? Okay. So that's why this Maccariya also is in the Dosa group. And there are 5 kinds of Maccariya mentioned in the scriptures. Oh, the control came back. Okay. Okay, then we should do. Okay, now, so there are 5 kinds of Maccariya mentioned. The first one is the stinginess or the unwilling of sharing of one's dwelling place. So meaning like my house, my place, and this also, it is also applicable to monks. No, sometimes they say that in the monasteries, oh, this is my room, this is my temple, this is my place. So this is also one kind of Maccariya. There is another kind of Maccariya of family, my friends, my family. And for monks, it can be like supporters and students. And then another kind of Maccariya could be of gain, of wealth. And then we also have Maccariya about appearance, of fame, of success. So here is like, although you're not going to share your beauty with others, but it's like, I want to be the only one that is beautiful. I don't want any other person to be successful, to be famous, and to be beautiful like that. Then there is also Maccariya of knowledge and understanding. Like there are so much secret recipes, no? Have you heard that? Like, oh, this is my family recipe. I cannot share with anyone, right? So all kinds of this knowledge, anything. Okay, so there are these 5 kinds of Maccariya that is mentioned in the text. Now, there is also another thing which is interesting to mention is that in the Atasalini, you can find that there it is also said that it is not stinginess when one knows that when one does not want to share something with someone, knowing that they are going to use it in a wrong way. So if you know that you are going to give this something to another person and he or she is going to use it in a wrong way or in an unwholesome way, then you don't want to share with this person, then that is not considered as Maccariya in this case. Okay. Now, another interesting thing about Maccariya is that Maccariya is totally eradicated when a person attains Sotapanna. So that's the first stage of enlightenment. So when a person reaches that level, then no Maccariya can arise in his mind, his or her mind anymore. Now, just also something to reflect on. If this body and mind, what I call mine, cannot actually be also called mine, right? If this body really belongs to me, then I wish it always stay healthy, never get sick, never get old, never get any discomfort, but we cannot do that. No, even this body and this mind, sometimes we do not have control over it. So what to say about outside things, right? Like my books, my dress, my house, my everything. No, at the end, when we passed away, and everything has to be left aside. No, we have to leave everything. So that's just something to also to reflect on. And Nina van Golkram, she says that human life is so short, and we waste many opportunities for kusala because of our stinginess. So I find this also a good reminder. Now, Nina, maybe you know her or maybe you don't, then she's a Dutch lady. Her husband was a diplomat, and then they used to live in Thailand. So this lady, she studied her Buddhism in Thailand, and she wrote a lot about the Buddhists, about Buddha's teaching, and then she has books on Cetasikas and have different books which are very helpful as well. So if you have time and are interested, you can also look up to see Nina. Some of her work is very, very, very good, because she also pay a lot of emphasis on how to apply this in daily life. So where she used a lot of daily examples when she explained about the Cetasikas, about different Buddhist topics, right? So that's also recommended. All right, so that's about Macchariya. Now we can go to the last Cetasika in the Dosa group. So that's Kukucha, remorse. Okay, about remorse. So it is said that there are only two things, or two kinds of actions that we can't be regret of. There are only two kinds of actions that one can regret on. Do you think that that's true? Really? We can say really? Actually, whether we can regret on so many things, how possible? Only two actions, really? So what are they? So first one is something that we have done, some akusala that we have done previously. So that's one kind of action that we can regret on. And the other one is some kind of good actions that we didn't do when we had the opportunity to. So those are the two kinds of actions that is said that one can't have remorse about. So first, something that we have done unwholesome deeds that we have done, and also those wholesome deeds that we didn't do when we had the chance. All right, so let's take a look at the characteristic of kukucha. It's subsequent regret. Here, subsequent meaning that it's something that means regret comes after having done or not having done something. So something in the past, right? Then its function is sorrow over what has and what has not been done. So the bad that has been done and the good that has not been done. And its manifestation is the aversion towards that. So one is not happy about what we have done or what we have not done. Then its proximate cause is exactly that thing. No? So what we have done, what we have not done. Now, concerning this, Sayadaw or Venerable Nandisena, as an Argentinian Sayadaw, he said this: regret about wrong actions of the past will not drive out your worries. Guilt or remorse will not release you from the painful consequences, meaning what has been done has been done. So the akusala that we have done already, the seed is being planted. When conditions are there, then the result or the effect is going to happen. So like regretting about what we have done, that is not gonna help us to be free from that consequences, or to be free from worried. So actually, it is not useful to do that. The correct way to overcome remorse is to avoid doing wrong actions again, making a firm resolution to refrain from unwholesome, those akusala actions. if the unwholesome actions are not too serious, one might escape from their bad results by the virtue of restraint from doing that again, as taught by the Buddha in the Mahāvāga Samyutta. So here, meaning escape doesn't mean that we can actually like without having to take those consequences when it arises, but meaning that if we do enough virtue, enough good things, enough kusala, then those conditions for this kusala to when it arises, then it may help us to deal with those unwholesome effect that might affect us. No, so say someone had harmed someone in a previous existence or whatever, so this life he might got sick, but at the same time he has also done a lot of good deeds helping other people. So when he did get sick, then what happens is that he might have a lot of people helping him as a result of the kusala that he has done, right? So like he has good doctor, and then he has a family and friends taking care of him, and he has good medicine, and then he overcome this sickness quickly. So all those are conditions that can be helpful when those akusala results does happen. Yeah. Okay. So even when one understands later that one has not done meritorious deed, one should not regret it, because it is never too late. We can always do more now. Yeah. So what Sayadaw wants to say here is, but if we realize that we have done something not akusala in the past, then it is not necessary to regret it, because having regret at this moment is actually doing more akusala. We're generating more akusala, unwholesome mind in this moment, right? So what we need to do is we need to make a firm resolution that we're not going to do that again, and that's good enough. And if we realize that there is something that is good that we could have done but we didn't, so or of course, what is gone. So, but it's also not necessary to regret about that, because we can do it now, whatever is possible, right? So, kukucha, it's unwholesome cetasikas. So it is not good to generate more dosa group, more unwholesome things on things that have already been done. All right, so that's about kukucha, and that's the dosa group. So we have dosa, aversion, isa, machariya, and kukucha. Okay, so that's the dosa group. Okay. So in the unwholesome cetasikas, unwholesome mental factors, we have finished with universal, the lobha group, and the dosa group. So now we're going to the last group, which is, we call it the others here. So 3 of them, let's see. Now we have tina, mida, and vichikicha. So tina, sometimes translated as laziness, sometimes translated as sloth, and mida, torpor, and we have vichikicha, doubt. Okay, so let's look at tina mida first. Tina mida always come in a group. So it is like kind of the mental heaviness or the lack of enthusiasm. So this is called tina mida, the sloth and torpor, or laziness and torpor. So it is described as tina as kind of the sickness of the chitta, and mida, the sickness of the cetasika. Now, as chitta and cetasika, they always arise together. So tina and mida, so when one is sick, then the other is also sick. So tina is kind of the sluggishness of the chitta, and the mida, the sluggishness of the mental factors. So they never separate. They always happen together. So when there is tina mida, one does not want to do anything. No, the mind is not alert. I think we all have this kind of experience in our daily life. And let's see its characteristic of tina. Now, tina has the characteristic of lack of driving power. So it's like we are low of fuel. No, we don't have energy. We don't want to do anything. And its function is to dispel energy or effort. So it's the total opposite of viriya, of effort. No energy to do anything. and it is manifested as the sinking of the mind, like really heavy. And its proximate cause is the unwise attention to boredom or to drowsiness. So this is Tina, and let's take a look at Mida, torpor. Characteristic of torpor is unwieldiness. Its function is to suffocate, and is manifested as like the dropping, the nodding, and the sleepiness. And its proximate cause is the unwise attention to boredom and drowsiness as well. Now, this Tina and Mida is totally opposite to energy. When one have vidya and energy, then sloth and torpor cannot arise in the mind. Then one cannot feel sleepy when we have energy, right? So when one experiences sleepiness, sometimes we all have this feeling. Yeah, yes, Sanda has a question.
Yes, the previous slide showed the Mida as being the lack of enthusiasm, which brings up the question, is enthusiasm something desirable? I mean, I understand the comparison with virya, but enthusiasm is, from the Buddhist perspective, I think these are the opposite extreme, the enthusiasm. And I think in meditation, for instance, Bhante Yuttadhammo would say you have to note it. So I don't know if you get my question.
Yes, I think I will try to see if I understand you well, and please correct me if it is not what you mean. Now, enthusiasm, actually, English is not my native language. So how I understand enthusiasm is like one is very enthusiastic and very like wanting very much to do something, right? So I think it really depends on what if we think this enthusiasm as a cetasika, let's say, then in ultimate reality it can be chanda. It can be the wish to do. Yeah, if you have a very strong wish of doing something, it can be chanda, right? So chanda, the wish to do, as we see, it is an ethically variable cetasika. So if it associates with wholesome chitta, then it can be good. Like if one is very enthusiastic about the practice, about the learning, about the becoming better, then it could be something that is good, right? But if it associates with desire, like very enthusiastic about doing some unwholesome thing, or like about I don't know, about TV drama, or about anything, very enthusiastic about some kind of like a movie or anything. So in that case, then if it is associated with lobha, then it can be, well, obviously it is akusala, no? So I think that it can be really case by case. Because if we take this word enthusiasm, if we take ultimate reality as chanda, so chanda is necessary for meditation as well. If we don't wish to do the thing, then we won't do it. Yes, but it depends on the degree, of course. Right? Sometimes we want to do it a little bit, but sometimes we really want to do it. So it can be also like when it is like we really put effort into doing it, then vidya is also there. Then the chanda can be the wish, the wanting to do it. So I don't know if this answers your question.
Yes. Thank you very much.
Welcome. Okay. Now, let's go back to Tina Mida. Now, we were talking about like sleepiness and like all this. Sometimes it can be really hard and very, very heavy. You know, the body and mind is just like kind of out of control. Sometimes it can be physical, but sometimes it can be the mind as well. So let's take a little look at this video. Like, oh, yes, Amar, you have a question.
Yeah, this Tina Mida seems to be, I think, it should fall under dosa, right? Why is there is a very the nature of Tina Mida and dosa seems to be the same, right? But
actually, yes.
Yeah, but it is not under the dosa category, right?
No, actually, it is. They're quite different because Tinamida is the kind of the lack of energy, the sleepiness, the tiredness. So it's not having aversion towards the object, but it just doesn't have energy to deal with the object. Does that make sense? So it is very tired. Yeah, it has no energy, but it is not like I don't like it.
So it has, it is pre-dosa kind of, right?
It is
This
what?
can lead to dosa. This can lead to dosa, right? Yeah.
It can surely. Actually, all kinds of unwholesome states, they can lead to one another. For example, even lobha, let's say, when I want something so strongly, if I don't get it, dosa can arise, right? So it can also lead to dosa. So if I'm so tired, now let's take a look at this video. Then you will see then it does lead to dosa, but it's different, but they are different. Poor little boy, very tired, right? So it can, of course, sometimes when there is Tinamida, it's very hard, and sometimes it is really we can get very out of control. Now we cannot control our body and the mind. And of course, like if this little monk in the back is like trying to wake him up, then he can get angry, you know. So it can happen. But sometimes what I want to say is that it's not always tiredness. It's not always an akusala thing, because sometimes our body do get tired. If we work too much, then we get tired, and then in those cases when we really need to rest, we do have to go rest. In the meditation center, I have also heard my teacher says many times that if the body is really tired, then you should take a rest, you should go to sleep, and you should not force yourself to sit or to do other things, no? Because if one is sitting there getting angry, and one is actually not cultivating any wholesomeness, one is just sitting there and like fighting this tiredness of physical tiredness and getting more angry and cultivating not wholesomeness but unwholesomeness, no? So better go take rest, right? In those cases. Yes, Chie.
About the 5 hindrances, are they concepts or are they Cetasikas?
They are Cetasikas.
In my mind, I thought maybe doubt is the mind fluctuating between thinking and feeling.
Actually, there is a Cetasika that is called doubt. So, but sometimes how we understand doubt can be a little bit different. Actually, the next Cetasika that we're going to look at is doubt. So we will have more details there. But sometimes we have to understand that how we explain our emotions or these feelings in English terms, how we understand them are actually a combination of many Cetasikas. In many different situations, right? So now, since we are looking at them microscopically, so it can be something different from what we imagine they are. No, do you understand what I mean? Okay, so when we go to the next Cetasika, doubt, and we'll look at it in more details. And if you have more questions, then can we deal with it there?
Okay.
All right. Okay. So. Tinamida. So let's finish with Tinamida. It happens to all beings, sometimes animals as well. And then it is described as Tinamida is like the withering of a plant. So it curls and it falls under the heat of the burning sun. Right? Okay. Now let's go to the last one in the other group. So that's Vichikicha, doubt. Now, when we look at the Moha Mula Citta, the delusion or ignorance, delusion rooted consciousness, and we have seen this doubt already, right? But that is one of the Moha Mula Citta, one of the delusion rooted consciousness associating with doubt. Yes. So what is doubt? What is Vichikicha? So it is manifested like it is kind of like the mind being puzzled, indecision, uncertain, hesitation, or wavering. So when there is doubt, the mind cannot choose. One is not sure about what is what. So it is because of the inability to comprehend, of not being able to understand or not understanding. Now let's take a look of this Pali word Vichikicha itself, then we'll get more hint of what it actually wants to mean. Now we can divide this word in a few ways, and here we talk about two. Now let's say we divide it into first we. We here can mean no, without, and chikicha meaning remedy or curing. So Vichikicha can mean no remedy of understanding. So when there is doubt, there is no wisdom. There is no knowledge. So one cannot understand the situation. One cannot know well. We do not know what is right, what is wrong, what is good, what is bad, what is the real nature of things. So when there is doubt, yes. Now, Vichikicha, in another way to understand this word, we can divide it into Vichi and then Kicha, right? So Vichi is investigating and Kicha is getting tired. So that means when one have Vichikicha, one think about something and cannot come to a conclusion and becomes tired and frustrated. So that's also the kind of feeling of Vichikicha. So one is no remedy or medicine for wisdom to emerge. And another one is like one is so confused and cannot decide what is what because of lack of understanding. Yeah. Okay. So sometimes, but we have to understand it here is that sometimes like when we go to a crossroad and we don't know whether we should turn left or turn right. So that kind of doubt is not akusala. It's just a lack of understanding or lack of knowledge of the map or of the area. No. So those are not the kind of doubt that we are talking about. So the doubt, the Vichikicha, which is an unwholesome mental factor that we are talking about here, is a little bit more specific. It's more about the teaching, about the Dhamma, about reality itself, about the training. About the training, meaning what we want to mean by training is the sila, samadhi, and panya. No, so sila about morality. That we're not sure we're doing good is good. If we do wholesome deed, is it really? Would there be an effect? Would cause and effect really exist or not? Like, well, really, samadhi. If I cultivate samadhi, is it really good for me? How about panya? How about the 5 aggregates and what we understand as the mind, Cetasikas, really does this thing exist? Or like all these kind of different kind of doubting about the practice and all this kind of questions or doubt is what is meant by Vichikicha here. So when there is this kind of doubt or Vichikicha in the mind, then it is very difficult for a person to go on practicing. And it is quite harmful for the practice, actually. So therefore, it is included in the 5 hindrances, to spiritual development, right? So Tinamida is also there, then doubt and worried and ill will, sense desire, all included there. Now, doubt do not let us move forward because we are not sure where we're going. If we think that, or if this is the way of practice or not, is this right or wrong? If this is, if what I'm doing really leads to the purification of the mind or not, if we don't know what we are doing, then we cannot move forward, right? So doubt can only be eradicated or eliminated by developing the stability of the mind and strengthening one's own view, so understanding, so panya, the wisdom, and the concentration also will help with Vicikicca, with doubt. Okay, Chia, does that answer your question, or do you have more doubt concerning doubt? Sorry, I don't mean that kind of doubt, right? It's not like unwholesome. Yeah, this English word is different.
So it counts as just one Cetasika, or is it?
It counts as one Cetasika, but remember, no Cetasika arise alone, right? So it always arises together, of course, with the Citta. And since it is an unwholesome Cetasika, it must always arise with the universal Akusala Cetasikas as well, which is Moha, delusion must be there. Hiri and Ottappa, also there. Ahirika and Anottappa, so without moral shamelessness and moral fearlessness, as well as Udacha, restlessness is also there. And so all this, it's always a combination. No Cetasika arise alone, but the Buddha explained each Cetasika, what is their function, what are their characteristics, how is it being manifested in like microscopic way for us to understand it properly, but then they always arise together.
Okay, thank you. That makes more sense. I think especially when you mentioned restlessness, in my mind, I always combine doubt with the restlessness together.
Right.
And I thought maybe it's separate things, but they are just...
Yes, they have their own characteristic. They are not the same Cetasika, but they do arise together. So in our experience, we experience them everything, like the big mix of the dish, right? Yeah. Okay. So let's move on. So that's about Vicikicca. Let's take a look at the 4 devices. We haven't looked at it yet. So for Vicikicca, its characteristic is doubting itself. And then its function is to waver. It cannot decide. So it's like going here and there. And it is manifested as like one cannot decide, or we're taking various sides, or like sometimes here, sometimes there, because we cannot decide what's right and what's not wrong, what's not right? Okay, now then its proximate cause is unwise attention. So that's the 4 devices for Vicikicca. Okay. So with this, we have finished actually all the Akusala Cetasikas. So let's take a look. 14 of them. We have the universal. We have delusion, Moha, Ahirika, Anottappa. And then we have Udacha, restlessness. Then we have the Lobha group, Lobha itself, wrong view, Ditthi, Mana, arrogance. And we have the Dosa group, aversion, Dosa itself, Isa, jealousy, Maccariya, stinginess, and Kukucca, remorse. And then we have the other 3, Tinamida, sloth and torpor, and then we have doubt. So these are the 14 Akusala Cetasikas, unwholesome mental factors. And of course, these 4 universal, and then these ones are occasionals. So combinations can be like this with this one, sometimes this with this one, this with this one, right? So let's take a look at another graphic to help us understand a little bit better. Now, whenever there is an Akusala Citta, what kind of mental ingredient will be there for sure? First, ethically variable universal 7. Surely, because it must take an object, right? So contact must be there. There is always a mental feeling, a Vedana, Sanya must be there, perception of the object. Then we have Cetana, volition. And then we have the Jivitindriya, the vitality. Then we have also attention, Manasikara, right? So all these universal ethically variable ones must be there. Then sometimes there is also ethically variable ones, occasional ones, like the initial application, sustained application, Vitaka Vichara. And then we have effort, sometimes joy, and all these 6 occasional, sometimes there, sometimes they are not there. Now, when it is an Akusala Cetasika, then the unwholesome universal, 4 of them, must always be there too. So these 7 and these 4 always must. And then these 6, some of them, because let's say if it is with Dosa, then joy will not be there, right? So it depends on the different situation, right? But if it is with lobha, then joy will be there. Then sometimes it's pleasurable also. So it depends. Now, the occasional ones, if it is with the lobha group, sometimes it can associate, or it can be with the dosa group, some of them, and then sometimes the moha group, also some of them. So it does not mean that when it is dosa group, all three must be there. No, not like that. Remember that ditthi and mana, they do not associate together, right? So it also depends on which kind of chitta associate with which kind of Cetasika. But this exactly what ingredients are included in what kind of the chitta, the 89 or the 121 that we have studied before, that later on in a later chapter, we will look at that. So by the time it will be more clear, but I just wanted to make an example so we know that these universals must be there and occasionals sometimes depends on occasion, right? Okay, so up to here, we have finished already with all the Akusala Cetasikas, and let's take a break for 5 minutes, and coming back, we will look at other Cetasikas as well. Okay, so we'll see you in 5 minutes. Among the 52 types of Cetasikas, we have already finished with the ethically variable ones, and we have finished today with the unwholesome ones. And next, we're going to the beautiful ones. But right now, I'm thinking that maybe it has been a lot of content today, a lot of things to reflect on and to think about. So I'm thinking if I continue to give you more information about the Kusala ones, then it might be a little bit too much. What does everybody think? Yeah. Okay. So I will just do a short introduction of the beautiful Cetasikas of what we are going to look at next week. Then we can go into details next week. Otherwise, I don't want it to be too much. And then at the end, when we don't remember anything, right? Okay. So just let's take a short introduction. So we're going to look at the beautiful ones. So after the spicy ones, now let's take something sweet, something nice. Okay, so let's see. So if we imagined ourselves as a Coke, or let's see what Kusala Chitta is made up of. Of course, first we have the plate, let's say, the chitta. And then we must have the universal ingredients. So those are the ones that can be water or like flour. So depending on other taste, then it can be sweet or it can be sour, it can be spicy, you know. So this one's ethically variable, universal ones, they must always be there. And then we have the occasionals. Sometimes when we bake, sometimes we put flour, we put a little bit of like this baking powder or salt. So universal sometimes, right? Okay, so if we look at it this way, then we have 7 universal that must always be there. What are they? Contact, mental feeling, perception, volition, one-pointedness, mental life faculty, and attention. These 7 must always be with any kind of chitta. And now here we're talking about Kusala chitta, right? Okay, occasionals, sometimes there, sometimes not, depending on the recipe. So initial application, sustained application, determination, effort, joy, joyful interest or pleasurable interest or joy, and the wish to do. So these 7 in universals and 6 occasionals. Now, if it is going to be something sweet, then we need the beautiful universal ones also. So let's say if we are making a strawberry pie, we must have strawberry. We need some sugar and some strawberry jam, let's say. So with the universal beautiful Cetasikas, then we make a Kusala chitta, a wholesome chittas, some wholesome chittas. Now, sometimes there are also some, before going to that, so let's take a look at the beautiful universals. What are they? There are actually a lot. So we have sada, faith or confidence. We have mindfulness. Then we have moral shame, the opposite of the moral shamelessness. And then we have the moral, again here it's, okay, so it's a moral fearfulness. So the meaning the having respect for oneself, respect for other. That's the opposite of the other 2 of the unwholesome universal. Then we have non-greed or generosity, non-hatred or loving kindness. Then we have equanimity. Then now we come the pairs. Now we have lightness of chitta, lightness of cetasika. And so this is a pair when they come together like tina mida. When it is sick, the tina is like the sickness of the chitta, and the mida is like the sickness of the cetasika, right? So in this way, also a pair. So lightness of chitta, lightness of cetasika. When we do something good, we feel good. There is a lightness, no? So this kind of lightness. Then we have malleability, also a pair. We have tranquility, also a pair, adaptability, a pair, proficiency, a pair, and uprightness, a pair. So you see, there are actually 19 universal beautiful Cetasikas. That's a lot. So whenever we do good, whenever any kusala arise, all these 19 always come together. They are always there because they are universal. So it's really, really beautiful. You see, like doing good, doing kusala, we have all these beautiful ingredients in there. Sada, confidence, mindfulness, respect for oneself and another, non-greed, loving kindness, or generosity, or equanimity. Then we feel lightness, malleable, tranquil, adaptable. We feel proficient and upright. So all this is associated with kusala. Okay, so those are the universal beautiful Cetasikas, 19 of them. And then we also have a group of beautiful occasionals, meaning they are sometimes there, sometimes not. So to make the pie a little bit nicer, we can put some cream or some berries or something. No? So these ones are sometimes there, not all the time. Okay, so what are they? We will go into it, go into details later. Now, whenever we perform any kind of kusala, it can be dana, it can be sila, or it can be meditation, samatha or vipassana. So whenever we do any kind of this wholesome deeds, then kusala chitta arise in the mind. So kusala chitta is always accompanied by these beautiful cetasikas, beautiful mental factors. So next week, we are going to look at them one by one. We're going to look at their characteristic, their function, manifestation, and proximate causes of each of them, and to understand them better. And then when we finish with the universal, we will go to the occasional ones. So that's what we are going to look at in the coming week, next week. So I think it's good if we stop here, because if we go into the beautiful Cetasikas today, then we will start another topic and it would be too much content. All right. So does anyone have any questions concerning today's content or anything else? Yes, Sanda.
Yes, so I don't know if I understood correctly. So the universals always occur, all of them?
Exactly. It does.
Okay, so then I have a question. In the universals, there is one-pointedness and attention. And how do they get along with the occasional sloth and torpor? Do you have one-pointedness and attention while having sloth and torpor?
Mm-hmm. Now, remember the attention in that case, attention is the manisikara. It's compared to the driver of a chariot, right? So it directs all other ingredients towards the object. That's its function. That's what it does, right? Okay, so tinamida, their function is to they cannot take the object properly, but they still have to have the object, right? So everyone must know what is the object, although they are not capable of taking the object properly. But manisikara, it also has to do its work, so it's showing that this is the object. But tinamida is not able to hold the object properly. It cannot understand take the object properly. Now, one-pointedness is the staying with the object. Because we are talking about microscopically, remember, we're talking about one chitta, so it arises, exists, and then it passes away. When we talk about one-pointedness or concentration in long term, then we mean that kind of ingredient is strong in every chitta that arises one after the other in a period of time. That's the concentration that we usually say that I'm concentrated, right? But then for each chitta, well, the chitta must also go one-pointedness, meaning going to that object and not to anything else at that moment for that chitta. Yeah, so they actually do not conflict with each other. They do their own function. But if it is associated with Akusala chitta, then restlessness is also there. If it is associated with Tinamida, then those the mind, they cannot take the object properly. But still, the other Cetasikas does its own function. It still has to take an object.
So if I understood correctly, it seems that they cannot get along because we see everything like together, but you have to take into account the moment by moment, and you have to see it like this. And when you decompose like each moment, then in each moment you can have both, or all of them. Is that
the universal ones?
Yeah, I mean every yeah, the universals with the occasionals. In this case, the universal one-pointedness and the tension with the sloth and torpor. Because if you take like the detailed analysis in one moment, then it is that did I understand correctly?
In the moment of the chitta, because the chitta and the Cetasikas, they do arise together at the same time.
Okay.
Yes, so they do not arise alone and one after the other. So the chitta and all its accompanied Cetasika, they all arise together at the same time, and then they all do their own function towards the same object. At that moment, they do their job and then they pass away together. So each of them has a different work to do, but they all arise together in the same chitta with its Cetasika, no? Does that make sense?
Okay. Okay, maybe I have to revisit some
Think
things.
Okay, yeah, if you have more questions later, we can discuss again.
Okay, thank you.
Welcome. Yes, Chie.
Just wondering if Jivintidriya and Bhavanga are different, or if you can use this interchangeably.
Bhavanga and what, sorry?
Jivintindriya.
Jivitindriya. Oh, they are very different. They are very different. Jivitindriya is a Cetasika. It is called life faculty, which the function of Jivitindriya is to maintain all the other Cetasikas and the chitta that arise together. Is to like it's like the simile that is being used in the text is like water that sustains the lotus flower. So it gives life to everyone, no? So it's its job. But Bhavanga is the name of a chitta. So Jivitindriya is the name of a Cetasika, that it arises in every kind of chitta.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And Bhavanga is a type of chitta that later on we are going to study it, like what kind of chitta is it that performs the function of Bhavanga, like why is it called Bhavanga? Bhavanga is actually a resultant consciousness, one type of resultant consciousness. And then of course, Jivitindriya is also there because it's a universal Cetasika. It must be with any kind of chitta, but Bhavanga is a chitta.
Okay. Did you ever translate Bhavanga as life continuum or?
Yes. That's the English. That's the English translation of Bhavanga. That's why
where
we
the confusion is coming.
Exactly. Yes. So when we get to that part, it will become very clear. So therefore, I also, once again, I would like to encourage everyone to use Pali terms, and because then there will be no confusion in that case. No, because sometimes it's very hard. I understand, and I appreciate very much all the translators, because it's not an easy job to translate all these terms into English terms that is understandable. No, so sometimes it can be confusing, but then once we study it and then we learn about what it means, then later on, if we keep the Pali terms, then there will be no confusion. But after, when we go to the chapter where we study Bhavanga Chitta, then it will be clear.
Okay, thank you.
Welcome. Yes, Austin.
Yeah, I just wanted to see if my understanding is correct. And if in the dosa group, fear is also included, then
what is also included? Sorry.
Fear.
Fear. Right. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So if that is the case, then the characteristic of dosa was ferocious, basically ferocious. So that whether that is similar for fear, because somehow that didn't feel like
right? Yes.
it feels more fierce, not ferocious so much. But
yes.
I don't.
Yes. So sometimes, like the characteristic, it obviously it varies. Because it depends. Like if dosa can mean from aversion from boredom to rage and to hatred, then the range is like, and fear, the range is very, very big. No, so it can manifest in different way, and it can have a different characteristic depending on how it is. What degree or like what kind of dosa is there, no? So let me check again. Maybe in the Visuddhimagga, maybe there are more explanations of the characteristics. Sometimes it's not only one, there are many sometimes. I'll get back to you.
Thank you.
Welcome. Okay, anyone else? No more question for today? Okay, so in this case, thank you very much, everyone, for joining today's session. And we will continue next week with the strawberry pie, with the ingredients of the strawberry pie, wholesome, beautiful Cetasikas. So let's close the session by sharing merits and by and to dedicate our effort for the attainment of Nibbana. Itam no punyam nibbānassa pacayo hotu. Itam no punyam nibbānassa pacayo hotu. Itam no punyam nibbānassa pacayo hotu. Itam no punyam sabbasatanam bhajima. Itam no punyam sabbasatanam bhajima. Itam no punyam sabbasatanam bhajima. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Okay, thank you, everyone. Have a very good week.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you. You too. Have a good week.